Within like an hour, I'm like, there you go.
Wow, just homeless people.
All right, ready to get this meeting started, August 31st, 6 p.m. We have myself, Sean, John, Matt, Will, and I don't know who else is here. We have Kathy on Zoom, I think.
Not yet.
Not yet, but I know she's on her way. No Joanne. We do have a quorum, so we'll look forward to approval for prior minutes. Anyone have any changes or remarks on prior minutes?
Actually, I do.
Mhm.
It's okay. Yeah, balance we roll. Yay, the pre-maintenance working. That's There was a second sheet, and I lost it. Yes, I have it. But I couldn't read anything it said on the delegates. It was sort of whited out as it went through. I wasn't able to read it.
It's printer. So that's being worked on
Okay.
Tuesday.
Well, it's okay, but I just wasn't able to read what we put down on the delegates. But we're going to talk about delegates probably later anyhow, right? So then I would throw my question.
Okay, motion to approve prior minutes.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Treasurer's report.
You have my overview in front of you. Probably got the emails I sent out that we are trying to cut up with all the statements. They're all been posted to the public drive at this point. So it's a win for sure. Talked to the auditor again today. We do have a couple of small questions, but he's running the basic stuff through his system and let us know if it's just going to take to pay for it. A lot of engagement changed because of all the different variants stuff we have in it. We saw the email and some of the a couple of suggestions you had on it. So he said he would get back to us in the next couple of days. I'll let you know if that comes down. So I will change this a slightly bit. Obviously, the Westlake is paid, the planting we paid it this month, so there's no outstanding on that. This looks a little different as far as the balances go for a couple of reasons. We're on the very last day of the month. And so when we do that, there's kind of a little bit of an overlap, but there's more money in some accounts because we haven't started getting the bills for the month yet. Although everything is paid for, we have two outstanding invoices at this moment. One is for Santa Bob, the other half of his deposit or his payment. And then we have this, the item for FHRW for the extra charges for delivery that we probably should discuss at some point. It's 500 and change. They charged it to us. I had not paid it. The original goal, I think, was to try to have the flooring company pay. But we had paid them in full before we had made that judgment. So it's sitting there waiting for what you guys want to do with it, basically. So those two things are outstanding. The other numbers are in there. These payables are still the two items outstanding from Associa and Park Square. And I'm going to probably say this the fourth or fifth time at this point. In some cases, this doesn't really go away until it's done, if that makes sense. So until we have some type of definitive answer, it's not going to get collected, or we've settled out of court, or whatever the case may be, it never goes away. It's still a liability until we take care of it. I did go through the books pretty heavily, and I can tell you without a doubt that the $18,000 invoice was the only one that we did receive prior to closing of their books for us. That included a $14,000 pass-through that we've got no explanation for. But we did receive the invoice, and I actually remember when we started to make the bank transfers, they hadn't taken it out and just kind of ignored it, hoping that it would just go away. But if I had anything to say, that would probably be where we would start for any kind of real problem ran into. All the other invoices, which may be proven to be real at some point, were issued to us after the books closed. They weren't even on their books. So good place to stand there. I haven't had a conversation with George, but last time I did speak with him, he told me that he was looking for the smoking gun, the letter that says everything was closed. And the only thing we were able to find was, here's all the last financials. It didn't say that everything was paid. It just said, in light of that, some of the things that caused us to slow the booking to slow down is we kept receiving invoices and claims for back payment all the way back to February of 2022 were unpaid by Associa, which caused the books to go backwards quite a bit. And with accrual, it offsets that somewhat too. So all those reports had to be held up while we were trying to take care of some of that. In addition to this number that I just talked about, the 51,000 and 60,000 for Park Square, which I don't think has any latitude, although Jennifer did find something that supported that they had been paid back somehow. I have a suspicion there was some type of under the table deal with Associated Park Square, and that's what was showing us at the head. Because there were charges on Park Square, and she found that were on one of the past statements, and they backed them back off, which we were under the impression from our CAM and from everything we heard that we weren't collecting dues from Park Square while they were being built, which we all found highly unusual because it still cost us money. So the reality is that there's something gray there. The last item in this number 3 item is that we have earned quite a bit of money, which is why you're seeing some profitability at this point for late fees, estoppel fees, processing fees, and interest in the area of almost $27,000 extra that we earned this year. It's taxable at 30%. So now we have a tax liability that has to be taken care of as well. So that's in this number. So to let you know that that's where that's coming from. My recommendation at this point for you guys is that I've been holding money 2 months out for all the obvious reasons to make sure that we had buffer. When we get towards the end of the year, if we don't spend it, we have to pay tax on it if we don't make our 90%. So I'm telling you that I pushed it to 1 month on this report so we can start spending some of the things that we've been holding out, like the sprinkler timers and equipment and so forth we've been talking about. We're now funded enough along the way to not worry about it. Doesn't mean that we don't have to worry about a hurricane coming because there's still money in
I do have
there.
a question. On that.
Yeah.
It was my understanding that we have the option to, which is almost on every election card, voting time, to pass over any money accesses into the next year's budget,
And we've been doing that repeatedly.
tax-free, but it has to come in a membership vote to do so.
Yes.
So we could potentially still be able to push that money over tax-free.
Good. Up to, there's a percentage.
Yeah.
You still have to make that 90% test before you do it, but yes. And we actually ended up with a larger percentage. If you looked at the financials, we were expecting about 52,000 for the master last year overage at the end of the year, which is almost exactly what Associates trying to collect. So just strange that came out that way. But then we took out some of the liabilities we had at the end and came up with the reason that we needed to do the assessment because we still had prepaid assessments in there that had been lingering for a long time of about $100,000 and so forth. All that's been caught up. We've caught up all the collections with the exception of one individual, which is going to be brought up tonight, I'm pretty sure, right? So to the point where we're at $19,000 for all 5 areas in collections. So that means that money has reappeared in our account, which is nuts, and we can spend it. So my recommendation is that anything that you wanted to spend for this year that we can at this point, go ahead and do so because you won't, if you carry it forward, it's going to come out of the budget and not necessarily be budgeted again. So it's just a thing. I'm not trying to go willy-nilly, but at this point, there's money to spend. We might as well use it for the things we need to. And there's some wiggle room. We've already used some of the wiggle room before, but there's some wiggle room there. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. The one that has an amazing amount of money in there, and we just found out there's more, is Sandpiper Crest. So they had quite a bit of money left over, and they're going to end up with a huge dues reduction because of it, I'm certain.
So I got a quick question. So we have lots of expenses here, some of them fairly significant. What you're saying is we have enough cash, enough money to approve these and then move on with some of the large.
Well, we're not approving paying them. We're holding the money aside until we find out what the result of their claim is. But yes, there's still money after that.
Right.
He's talking
The
about-
liabilities aside, right, you know, the Associated Park Square and the taxes. You're saying now we're in a financial situation where we have enough money to spend to cover all of the expenses here?
I haven't looked at all the expenses there dollar for
I
dollar.
mean, there's some like pretty significant, like $50,000 and $22,000 and
Yeah, we can't go,
30,000
we can't go
dollars.
hog wild. There literally is about, I mean, if you spend the $138,000 I just told you to stand till, you could cover everything. But right now, you know, we've been budgeting each month for the expenses to cover even the security, right? And the security is just kicking in this month for the first time. So that's kind of why there's extra money. Had we not done that and this this liability for the other two things to come in, we'd have no money to pay it. We'd end up being in a special assessment section, so there's been a windfall in a couple different areas because of that. We didn't act quickly on the security that stayed in the bank, basically.
So, but some of the money that we want to spend is actually the security money that we didn't spend?
I'm just saying it's in the account. We'll decide. when you
Yeah, I'm
guys
hesitant to
spend
spend
it, figure
that
out where it comes
because,
from.
you know, I would almost rather, that would put to a vote to say, we didn't spend it this year because we were, you know, really sensitive, the community is really sensitive to the security.
Yeah.
So just harvesting it would cause, I
I
think,
don't disagree with you. I guess when we get to each item, it should be kind of.
but I think we need
What's
a
important first.
total number that we can work off of if we're gonna prioritize what we're doing. I
The
guess that's what
number,
I'm
the
trying to
number that I'm telling you for the master right now, I wouldn't go over the $15,000 that's in there to spend today. Now, if you spend it next month, it's different.
All right, so we have $50,000 expenses in here or $22,000 expenses. We don't have the money to pay for that.
I agree, yeah,
Today,
today, we don't
that's
have
what
it
you're
today.
saying, next month is a different story.
Well, we
Right,
only
we're
go up,
gonna commit to,
we'll only go up 10,000 a month for extra, if you think of it that way, because our contingency is what it is. Any other questions?
What's our contingency?
We've spent about 48% of it from what I can calculate. So we've got about $52,000. That's where that number comes up. Told you it's kind of a leftover. It's the same number. So it's, the 14,000 is in addition to that, but again, we're using that buffer to cover these liabilities. You start spending the liabilities, there's the possibility of having to get it from someplace else. Just keep that in mind.
Okay.
How do we stand on the budget overall, not just the contingency?
We've blown a few things, obviously landscaping and at this point, janitorial and, even, electric has gone over, everything has gone up. We built the contingencies for sucking up that 48% is all those things taken from it. So we haven't really spent that much out of budget other than a few things that we did for, I think the flooring and stuff we took out of contingency. So overall, we're probably 10 to 12% across the board. Some of them are like 30% across the board, you know, across the line. We've added lines. We have fees for internet that we didn't plan for. We have fees for you know, extra services that we didn't plan for. We saved in another area. We just don't have a maintenance person right now of any kind. So that's only been a month, but it still saves some money. So it's staying stable, but it's all over the map. It's not what we planned. How about that?
We're on to officer reports.
Okay, officer reports. I just have one for those that don't know. I'll make it official here. I am officially resigning from my position as officer and my board seat retirement. This meeting will serve as my last meeting. My last day of service will be the 15th of September. And reasons for this, for those of you that don't already know from other conversations are, I just need the time. I have task list in my eye that I need to get done by the end of the year. I'm just not gonna make it, be involved. I also think it's a good transition time. Rather than, you know, you might have an election come up, which I don't plan on running, and know Joanna, stress, she doesn't plan on running. Which there'll be a major change over there as well. So this is a good time to practice transition and get it done. If anyone has any further questions on that, let me know. That being said, I'm not disappearing off the map. So I still live where I live. My cell phone number is the same. My personal email is the same. Whatever anyone needs, the board, I'm willing to be as a liaison of some sort if anyone needs any help. I'm still willing to do all the IT work at no cost. All the projects and future sprinkler projects, everything that's still going on. I can still help out with maintenance things. I want to help Mark transition into the presidency position over the next 2 weeks. And get my email access over to him and things like that. It's been a long, almost 3 years for me. I'm tired. Want to go home. Any questions regarding?
Welcome. Good for you.
That being said, I do have a question for everyone here though, because I had individual conversations with each other. Who is planning on running again next year?
Plan to.
Well, two.
Would you say no? Yes.
I haven't decided. So the other reason I ask is because we have been talking about delegates. And, part of the reason for delegates was to
I'm checking, see.
make charter changes much more accessible, and to hopefully push the terms up to another year. If we have most of this board not running, that kind of defeats that purpose. I still believe strongly we should move forward with delegates. I believe whether it's us or the board after us, it's gonna have trouble making charter changes without it.
Can I make a statement there?
Yeah,
Even with what this does is build in some tiering, which is great, but everyone is still up for election, so we're still at the same point. The other problem is that it still leaves the next board vulnerable if you don't make the changes before it takes place again. And then we're faced with the same situation, so it seems prudent to move forward as it will actually be the best benefit for the HOA, not the individuals. So that's the only thing I have to state about it. There's also, if I'm not mistaken, if you, since we've already called the delegates to a vote, I'm pretty sure we have to go forward with it at this point. We can't.
I do too. It's actually, we're gonna talk about it a little bit later here as well. I do too. I was just mentioning as a, kind of what's moving forward. We have, I still have contracts that I'm working out for our employees that I got today. I should have for review for the board probably either tomorrow or early next week. And then voter delegates. I think it's a good move. I think it's something that should move forward. But I don't want my departure to desert that idea, desert those plans. I think you guys should continue in that fashion. I think we're doing great now with management. I think Betty's doing a bang up job. Jennifer, yeah, it's been for a while now. I think this is a good transition period.
You shouldn't have done so well, so we wouldn't leave.
That's true, as far as daily operations go and managing the association as a whole. 100%.
Kathy is running again. I just texted her, so that's fine.
That's all I had. Anyone else, anything?
Johanna, you wanna go ahead and?
Oh, I guess, do you want me to start with the committee report? Well, I mean, I will say I'm also gonna be ending, I'm planning to continue finishing my term, but this will be the last. We have a couple things for the social committee. I think we have the Santa Bob, we had one of the motion to approve the Santa for December 9th and 10th. I believe we have, has everyone got the invoice? I don't have it in front of me.
It's already been paid, so approvals applicable at this point.
Well, I still wanted to go through the process and let everyone, support the Christmas event. So I wanted to put an official motion on to the board.
I don't have it in front of me. Was it over to $2,000?
It is not, it's over $1,000.
It is over $1,000.
Yeah,
Was
so
it
I
$1,000
want-
or $2,000?
It's 1125, 1150, I'm sorry.
But I think Johanna had a $2,000 limit for that. That doesn't even validate a motion.
1,000.
Was it one?
Yeah, it's not, yeah, it's already been paid, so it's.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor of Santa, which has already been.
Okay, thank you. I guess we have a yard sale scheduled for October 13th to 14th. There's
That was the tentative dates.
tentative dates. Is that also consistent with the other one? Or we, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so that's already planned out. I think the things we need for that, of course, nothing much for other than putting out
Putting out the signs.
signs. So that's nothing going on right now with Fall Festival at Myers is continuing forward. I believe Crystal is now has been moving plans. I'm assuming have we booked a lot of the vendors yet or?
She's working on it. There is one additional, she needs 2,500 instead of 2,000.
I only have one question in that, because I had a conversation with Crystal about, I haven't booked the food trucks yet. But the DJ truck is $800.
Right.
And I think we decided we wanted it. I don't know if it's in that budget.
It is.
It is.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
and should we make a motion to approve the entire
Additional.
expenditure of $2,500 for the fall festival?
And
It's
that's
gonna
the
happen
same day as
the
the,
garage sale.
that's the same day as the garage sale.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, the garage sale is in more in the morning thing, and this is more of an evening.
Well, that
portion.
sale's usually done like.
Yeah, it's usually completely done, all the stuff should be gone and cleaned up,
It may motivate people to be home and attend this also.
yeah, I mean, it just so happens, so. But anyway, did we have a motion for the adjusted?
I have a motion to approve the adjusted 25.
And I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm assuming this is all within the budget.
As you're
Yes.
spending, I'm calculating. I said, as you spend today, I'll calculate, I'll tell you.
No, but there's a budget for social.
Yes,
there's a
so-
Social budget. So I'm
Yeah, we're-
guessing we're operating within the budget.
Yes, we are.
We are, actually, the social budget has had, because of rentals, we raised the rate of the rentals and so forth, has more money than we expected this year.
So we'll look into that. There was, onto that, I'm gonna be getting, hopefully next month, a new list of members. My apologies, I know I talked about a little bit of code of conduct. It's actually gonna be a training document, a little bit, just to go over some things, you know, because I'm transitioning away from it. And I wanted to put something together. I kind of mentioned it, but I'm sorry, I'm starting a new job. I've been busy. Thank you. Yeah, it's this new position and everything. So, but I will be putting that together hopefully next month and I'll have it for the board. I know I didn't quite have it because I've been a little preoccupied, but that is something that will be coming and they'll also be having that list and I'll be sending it to Crystal. I think I mentioned it to her, but I just, it's been a little busy, hectic, so, but that will be forthcoming, hopefully by next meeting. We'll see all that stuff, so that's pretty much all I have for the, social committee.
Thanks, Jen. That was social committee. We have, do we want to back up to Patty's manager report or should we go to security committee?
Did Garrett come? Yes, Garrett.
Are you-
This is Garrett from Securitas. I just wanted Garrett to meet the board.
Hi, Garrett. I met Garrett, what, a couple weeks back, 2 weeks back?
Yeah, that's what we expect. I'm the district manager for the account, we're overseeing it, working with the officers on site, training them. Going all the equipment that we have, we're starting tonight, so got it early, get things set up. And then we will be out in the community, starting tonight, 7 days a week, from 7 PM to 3 AM. We could, maybe you guys can phone them this afternoon,
Okay.
so you can post them on Facebook.
Perfect. Yeah, this will be a little bit, you know, we're gonna adjust a little bit here and there as we go, but SOPs have already been written, agreed upon. Daddy made some adjustments there. They look real good. If anyone is curious in more detail, come see Patty at the office. She'll go in there.
And so this will, that number he mentioned is gonna go out to the community, so they have a direct call to say to the security, hey, that's.
Correct. There's also communication through Facebook, which I'll get to later on.
No, that's cool. Good.
iPad. So I think it's great. We installed some lock boxes today.
Yes.
And work in progress, but board, if you see anything that maybe you think they should be addressing that you think they're not. Or if you have seen a copy of the SOP and you think something is missing from that, let Patty know. We can work it into, we can fix it. Again, this is gonna be fluid for probably the first 6 months.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Has there been any questions for Derek?
Is this just for the lake house? This building here on Gold, or is it for the whole community?
So this is, it's a little bit of both. It's the primary objective is our assets. Right, but that doesn't mean that they're not driving around in the community and passing a house and seeing something irregular or off the charts, but the primary thing is our assets. So we got a full lake house, dog park. We could always add a round in that for there as well, that helps.
So it's just the thought of security's primary objective is to, it's not the advert, it's not the challenge, it's to be a presence, to be told people from breaking into an amenity, going to that house, so our members to be visible to our community, waiting, saying hello, stopping to see people, and being involved, so that if someone were to target amenity, you think twice because you have the physical presence on property, all cameras to go for.
All right. We can move on to new business unless anyone has other questions.
Community managers report.
We got that.
Okay. Could you?
Thank you, Jared.
Give them 2 points. So Jen's giving him the key fobs, he's got the keys, so he should be good to go to start tonight.
Okay.
All right, first we need.
I have to work with my mind in that box.
He'll be here for a while.
Okay.
All right, can we back up to community manager report?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Community managers report for August 31st. Patty has begun community-wide violations. There have been approximately 75 to 80 new violations opened over the first 2 weeks of inspections. The violations are mainly for grass, tree trimmings, trash cans stored in public view, and general maintenance. Recently, a large limb fell on the playground. Management reached out to Natural Coast Tree Service to update the proposal from last year, which was $9,000. Because of the timing, an updated proposal may be available for tonight's meeting. You have it for tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Either way, management is asking for a not to exceed amount of $12,000 to remove the dead wood from around the lake house area. Does that include dead wood that's on the ground or dead wood that's also in the trees still?
In the trees.
Okay. Annual meeting date. Patty asks that we please consider scheduling the annual meeting for November 21st. The Sandpiper Crest townhomes are scheduled to receive mulch. Scheduled to be removed from the landscape beds and common areas on Monday, the 28th, with a dumpster in the overflow parking area. This will take 2 to 3 days for complete removal. New mulch is scheduled to go in on September 8th. In the Parrot Villas, irrigation inspections are monthly. The door hangers are being placed by Ballinger. They seem to be helping with getting the schedule out. In the pool, the new pool company has gotten control of the pH levels in the pool, and it seems to be holding. The cleaning company has been on site daily, keeping the pool bathrooms clean, as well as maintaining the chairs and umbrellas for the next day. As far as collections, Mannequin Law Group has been working diligently with the current 9 people that are in collections. The case for the Colonial Glen property went to court, and neither the attorney nor the defendant appeared. The final judgment was entered on behalf of the association. The owner has 45 to 60 days to pay or auction process begins. The association attorney will be updating if there are any changes. COIs. Patty has reached out to the Fit to Be Bond and Watch Me Swim for certificates of insurance, and both have sent their certificates, which are now on file in the office. Watch Me Swim classes will be beginning within the next few weeks. 2024 budget workshops. This year, the Lake House reserved for Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. for budget workshops for the month of September. The Finance Committee, and if the board members choose to, and then have a meeting for each service area to review their proposed budgets. Patty's suggestion is the following dates. The Master on the 5th of September, Sagewood on the 12th of September, Parrot Villas on the 19th, Sandpiper on the 26th, and then Westlake on the 3rd of October.
I love my best.
Questions regarding the manager's report?
You had mentioned scheduling the annual meeting.
Yes,
What date is that? November?
21.
Yeah.
21 November.
so we have to get a mailing pretty soon.
Do we
It
have to?
feels early for,
No, it's normal.
is it? No,
Yeah,
we're just so used to doing it.
well, we should, yeah, I think this is a fair date.
Is that the date the elections will occur, or when will the
That's
elections?
the
That's,
annual.
yeah, so do we need a motion for this?
Well,
Oh,
let's
we need
discuss it
motions.
for a second, but so if we hold the elections, then when will the board transition?
Typically, it's the first of the year.
Or is it
Yeah.
first year? I thought we ended up being later. Is that
Well, we were
because
always
the board-
late, so.
Then
Okay,
wait.
I'm just
It's like
trying to
December.
clarify my head. Okay, guys.
It's, yeah,
It's not a bad, it is Thanksgiving week though, and people do travel a lot.
It's 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Right.
People are out.
Thanksgiving early this week?
is
Yeah.
it possible that we can move it up?
I was just going based off the calendar and then. make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I think it would, I think it is. So some people may be home, but other people travel. you
I would
know?
also just say, if we're still following suit with an electronic election,
Mm.
it's kind of a moot point that it's not next week. Because it's probably gonna happen.
Unless they want to come.
Unless they want to come, the reality is.
Well, I just think because people, we're gonna be kind of busy, I don't know.
I don't disagree, just.
I-
don't put too much pressure on it.
You wanna move it up to the 28th, the following Tuesday?
That's, I'm seeing the
Is it
third,
back to school?
could we do it?
16th.
Yeah, let's
On
say this,
Thursday?
yeah. That's fine.
Then we have to get the mailing in right away.
How much notice do we need to give?
Well, because we have to put out that we have 2 open candidates, so we have to send out a candidate statement asking anybody who wants to run, and then put the candidate's information in with the mailing.
And also squashing the possibility of doing delegates, because unless we know that as well.
I think, I must
Other
be honest, I, after talking to the lawyer, I think the whole delegate
This one is
process is
involved,
not
we're
going to.
push to December and try to make it all work, but I don't. We're not gonna get everything done, for sure.
Look,
I'm not opposed to pushing it to
You
the
speak.
Sure.
Sorry. go ahead.
You were at the you were at the lawyers meeting.
Mhm.
You know, the lawyer raised a bunch of questions about the delegates that I don't think we have any hope of solving before this election. You know, I mean, I walked away, we all walked away going, do we even need to do it? Is it even a good idea to do it? I think we need to rethink it through a legal perspective, like, do we have the authority to administratively shift borders? You know, the answer,
And
we have several sections that.
Mac, that's on the agenda for later. Right now, we're talking
Okay.
about the date for the annual meeting.
Right,
Yeah,
but
let's-
he's,
I want you to have your say about that.
but he's
folks.
bringing up the delegates to say that should influence our decision of what's on.
When we want to have an annual meeting.
I mean, if you wanna, if we need to push it to December, it's for mailing purposes, I can understand. We need not to do it right next, that holiday, just in case people are traveling.
What is your date suggestion?
Not the date suggestion, but just to reconvene this thought of the date of the meeting. After the discussion of the delegates, if we squash the delegates, we can push it to the earlier time, if we don't, we can move it to those acts. It just seems it's contingent on that, and also have discussion.
That's the reason I brought it up, you know, that it.
Well, then let's just move it forward. Let's have this delegate discussion as quickly as we can here.
Okay,
Matt, my only question to what you were saying. is-
well, should we put a motion to the board or?
I actually don't have a motion.
Okay,
Ready?
all right, let's.
He's
do it.
pulling the delegate discussion.
Yeah, I'm just
Delegate
pulling it, it's at the
discussion.
bottom of the list, I'm just picking
Okay.
it up so we can, because otherwise we're gonna forget to put the dates, and that's. worse than-
Okay, yeah, let's get that done.
My only question is, I don't think I share the same sentiment from what the attorney meeting was. My bottom line is kind of what I was emailing with you. I talked to 2 attorneys about this, both Kelly and now George, and they both say the same thing. Attorneys are always against delegates because it pulls the voting power away from the membership. That being said, neither one of those attorneys have any experience running a community like this. They don't really understand the pitfalls that we face with our demographics and huge age swing differences within this entire community. I didn't get that impression at all. It's in our charter. It's written that way specifically. I think it's great, and I think we need to move forward. That's just my 2 cents, but to everyone else, let the conversation continue. We need to kind of figure out whether we are moving forward with this or not. And matter of fact, I think we already voted that.
Let me suggest something for Matt, because I was gonna bring it up. We're not changing the borders of any existing neighborhoods.
We're adding.
We're adding 2 new neighborhoods because they were never defined.
Correct, but do we have the authority to do that?
It does.
When
well,
he read through it, he didn't necessarily agree that we had the authority. Now, let me go on the record, I'm not against delegates,
Sure.
but I also want to make sure we're doing it correctly. So that we don't leave ourselves open for a challenge post facto of trying to establish this. That's my position.
I'll say something, I was on a super meeting. I was not of the impression that he was prepared to discuss this. He threw up a lot of roadblocks and difficulties and everything else, but he always closed it by saying, "But I'll need to do some more research on this."
Correct.
And so he wasn't really ready to talk about this. If you'll recall, we weren't even sure that we needed to have this meeting.
Yes, no, it was
We
almost
already
a
had
target of
earlier in the year.
opportunity and we were having free ranging discussions, yes.
Right. So he had some valid points, but I think that in the end, we're gonna have to take the responsibility to do it. You know, and it could be that we vote on it, but it didn't go into effect to next year. But we get it voted on this year, so it wouldn't affect the elections and stuff we're having this year, but starting January 1st, the neighborhoods kick in.
It's a possibility as well. Let me read you something specifically from the 3.2 in the charter. It talks about the boundary, setting up the boundaries to start with, and the next paragraph. Thereafter, the board may amend this charter or any supplement to redesignate neighborhood boundaries. However, the board may not combine two or more existing neighborhoods without the consent of the owners or the majority of the units that are affected. It does say specifically may.
Well, I don't think there's a problem there. My concern is, of course, volunteers and getting enough people and having the delegates and actually being able to pull it off from a more of a practical side rather
Knock
than.
on wood, I don't think they're gonna have a problem.
Okay, so assuming that we have everything we need and we have what we've got, I don't have a problem moving forward. I'm just gonna say that if we don't have it, you know, that might be a concern, a valid concern at that point, but we'll have to go forward and see what happens.
My opinion is, just based on the past 2-3 years with this. We're gonna move forward with it, let's start moving forward with it, but let's not shotgun it. Hey, put your challenge, this is not gonna conclude this year. We'll be lucky if we get the notice out this year, we'll be lucky if we start looking for delegates to start in January. That's just. We have too much going on.
So my question is so the delegate process should not influence the annual board?
Not this.
Correct, that was my reservation that I raised, and, you know, I'm not anti-delegate,
No,
I just am concerned that we have to be careful of how we, you know, and perhaps we put our procedure together and then we send it and said, please give us a legal review of this, because then now we have a legal review to stand on if we move forward. That's.
I agree, when we have what we're sending out to the numbers in writing. And when we have our map and our delegate counts, so we could send it to George to review. I just don't want you to be shocked when you get the same review back, it's gonna have the same. I gotta do more research, this isn't great, and it's not a dig on George, I get where he's coming from, I think at the end of the day, it's going to have to be a board decision. If the board wants to move forward with it,
Well, if that's,
regardless of what we do.
well, if it's not gonna influence the election, I don't see why the date,
Make a
as you know.
move our meeting to the Thursday after Thanksgiving, before we get into the December rush and Santa and all the rest of that stuff. Seems like it might be a sort of a dead weekend right in there that we could take advantage of.
Like the 30th, the Thursday.
30th is a
30th.
Thursday, the 28th is a Tuesday.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the date. What was it again?
30th.
30th. Okay. On November? Okay.
I second John Smith.
All those in favor?
Um,
Aye. Okay, annual meeting November 30th.
Now I'm gonna just go back to the delegates. Do we want to put a proposal, or not a proposal, an informational element to the annual meeting about the delegates?
Now, can I just make? According to Mark, we're gonna be discussing this later on, right?
Well, I'm kind of pulling forward now so that we don't do it later on.
What, yeah,
We can pedal backwards.
Yeah.
You can make a motion and table it if you want.
okay.
I was respecting your comment that wholly the charter until we get to the. Where we are ready to
Okay,
discuss. it.
we'll hold it
But
then.
I'm also
No.
aware that we had gotten partway into it as well.
No, I'll hold it, that's no problem.
Well, I was gonna ask the question is because, well, this whole thing's kind of, it's ongoing. The question isn't that, it's,
What's,
okay, what's the next step? Right now, I believe is my opinion, we're working on maps. That is the most vital piece of.
So
See the digital map from Patty.
the digital map is a nice to have. You have already defined and done the hard work of defining all the neighborhoods. So essentially, what we can do at this point is publish the neighborhoods and solicit for candidates, for delegates for each of those areas.
so
I'm just-
I would not shock.
That's not really
Get
shocking.
that.
I mean, it's gonna
Well,
take us months to
my
do that.
opinion is, I'm gonna be sitting over there next month. My opinion is, I wanna be able to click on a digital map, roll it up, and legitimately see my sections.
And I can have that done for you by Monday, because I just gotta get
Okay,
straight.
I know, I actually saw it go out. I'm just saying that when we give this, we wanna give this in digital form with the cover letter.
I agree. A color coded map.
Color-coded
Okay, here, this is my area. I'm area 13. I want to run the represent area 13.
Because whatever map this is, whatever digital map this is, it's never gonna change. That would be the worst thing possible, is that we backpedal. So I wanna make sure that's ironclad. That's just my advice moving forward. Put together a nice packet, send out.
So what's the motion at this point that
There isn't, we've already made a motion to do this a while back.
Guess the argument though is.
We're making the sausage right now. We're talking about how are we going to do this?
the mailing, so
The mailing
Basi-
costs money. If we can do 3 with 1 shot, which is an annual meeting, architectural approval stuff, and this in 1 shot, it saves a bunch of money.
Right.
And time.
okay, then let's plan on doing that.
We can, so, but we could do it a couple different ways.
Okay,
The mailing, I think, would be too long, to put all of these things on. So what we do is we do a mailing, get links out to these 3 individual items. So if you want to read the ARC changes, use this link, and I can publish. If we want to read in detail the delicate, provide a link.
Can we include QR codes?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't think it would help.
Hands down, yeah, I agree, hands down, I'll plug them in there. What we need is, we need someone, maybe Matt, because I know you took some interest in this, is to devise a 1-pager that talks a little bit, paragraph each on one of these, and then plug them in with the links, the QR codes.
So it was my understanding that he was working on something for the architectural already.
He was working on something for the delegates.
so we need a paragraph, like intro to the packet.
I think we're gonna be mailing this out to the masses, a small snip, a small paragraph on each
I
topic.
can write this. It'll take me an hour. Paragraph 1 is what?
The ARC,
Okay, ARC announcement.
and where to find out.
So I would
Okay,
make a suggestion that I think we've got some marketing people in the community we know and trust. Have them help us write this out, so it comes off as not a legal document, but something that will be them as a positive thing.
Sure. Who can we get a hold of next week? I'm not against it, I'm for you. John.
Yeah, I understand, but I only know one person. I'm not in that
Okay,
realm of where the
let's-
other $1,600 is.
let's use who you know. Mark, will pass it to you. Get it back.
paragraph 2, delegate voters.
I would do the delegate voters last, I would do any paragraph.
I agree.
Meeting announcement.
Delegate voters is gonna name them on the citizens.
And the annual meeting
Done.
announcement for both.
All right, I can write this up. And just give me the flyers.
We're good.
We got a marketing expert.
Go in for review, and a meeting of all the first item, policy.
Put it on
Hi,
the-
Kathy.
No,
She's been on the whole time. She just couldn't talk. No, we tried. She's unmuted, but it's not.
Okay, all right.
The call for candidates. Should we put that with the annual meeting?
What was
The call for candidates.
for-
The annual, for the board members.
Yeah, call for
So
candidate.
that's gotta go out first.
Yeah, I think that's separate.
You do that.
I really do think that's separate. I don't believe that needs to be named.
I mean, I can send it out throughout.
Yeah, I would do it fully on the.
Some part we put them off, so we can do it that way, and what, we did electronic the last time, it seemed to work pretty well. What do you think?
We're doing a man. Put it in there anyway. And then send, because the last thing I would want is somebody to say, hey, I want to be,
Involved, and I didn't know.
and I didn't get you.
Oh, no, I have. You could always unmute.
We-
Yeah, so, yeah. I would- I'm not gonna-
We're announce the neighborhoods,
I'm sorry, where did you go?
both candidates. Easy one. You meet me, This is the outline of it.
Yeah, a poll for candidates, well, yeah, we could do like an online, job. We can link to that, if you're interested in being a candidate,
Not from sign up.
I think that's a good start.
Last year we had a, candidate interview night for the, broadcast and Lake House, so we need to schedule that as well, so they know they're available for
All
that.
that turned out great, it was one of the best things we've done.
Okay, so what date do we
Want
want
to
to,
have anything to do with that?
Well,
do we want to put a date to that or? we
so when's the drop dead to get this out? It's a good point.
Now you're just trying
And
to-
you keep kind of.
just- Trying to
It's
get
can down the
that.
road, it's just.
We just, well, you know. So what's the date?
You know, the ARC notice needs to go out at least 14 days prior to the meeting. Right, so if your next meeting is going to be September,
Oh, it's called the calendar.
So by October 5th, I want to do the call for candidates, so this way by November 2nd.
30 days to get that notice out for the annual meeting, so you've got to send that October 28th.
That's
say it's by-
22nd. No, by October 2nd, I want everything turned in. Do we want to do a meeting? What was it? We did.
We just need to give them a deadline.
We actually held a interview kind of process for everybody.
Just to make sure you have it.
Right, okay.
So do the same thing.
Well.
So if we have everything submitted by October 2nd, then we can do that by the 12th.
Change.
October
Just the
2nd
ARC.
to tell the candidates, get their stuff submitted.
So if we went electronic
Out on the 19th, so we can
vote for just the.
Patty, what do you say?
if there's no electronic.
Sorry.
We're just letting the members know that we will be.
So we'll send out the email about
14 days.
respond by October 2nd. So this way.
For delegates.
For the- No, not for the delegate, but for the.
Normal policies, we would just.
Candidates.
And
The
change
call
the
for candidates
policy.
for the
The ARC actually says it.
So we're doing that in the same manner.
14-day notice.
Mhm.
So
We're gonna
that
send
actually
out
show up the
an
meeting,
email
so
blast to the
I don't
community,
like this. change.
can do it in the same manner, just for
but this is their way of letting them know
The
that.
voting-
they're gonna have-
Primarily go out by Appfolio, but this should be sort of a follow-up. So,
just
by the way, this is happening, if you missed it from that, but go to Appfolio.
I'll show it to you.
Give me something like that.
Very hard to do.
October 12th, we can do the.
And that's the thing, it'd be nice to.
candidate interviews on the 12th.
Thanks, stuff.
October 12th.
Possibly, I read the 13th, no, I won't be back. I'm sort of well, probably.
It's not a board meeting, so it's not, I mean, you'll be there, you can get online and do it, heck, we did it last time,
Yeah,
so.
might be able to, I might be involved.
So where were we, where did we leave off?
So we want board candidate submissions submitted by October 2nd.
Right.
And then we have a candidate, we're talking about doing a candidate night on October 12th. Are we,
That could go in the annual meeting.
just make sure, I guess, so the,
Yes,
Like
the
us.
timeline is fine.
okay, great, perfect.
It's also the same, every third year are the elections for the, Judiciary Committee, and since we're the only one that has them, we'd be probably at the same time, so it needs to be included in that. Candidates for Service Committee.
Okay. And do we have to put anything for the delegates at this point?
Not for that one, we can do that. No, it's gonna work on that letter.
Okay,
Yeah, it's gonna be a very.
all right,
All right,
Okay.
so I got for the mailing, we're gonna send out, paragraph 1 is just gonna be an announcement of the new ARC document.
And
And
then,
then-
that we're gonna be voting on it, September 28th.
We'll vote on September 12th.
So,
Got it. At the next meeting, okay? Then paragraph 2 will be about the annual meeting announcement on November 28th. Within that, it will be a call for board candidates due by October 2nd.
November 30th.
What's up? 30th? Thank you.
November 30th, Thursday.
well, they submit the, so we gotta tell them that Wednesday if they submit the documents and.
Yep, call for any candidates by October 1st. Right,
Second,
second,
it's a Monday. COB on the Monday, right?
On Monday? That's a Monday. It's a Monday.
That's a Monday, October 2nd.
okay.
The board candidate packets are due.
Yep, and then we have a candidate date. Night.
Candidate night, October 12th.
Mm-hmm,
Okay. And then item number 3 for the mailer will be explanation and announcement of the delegate voter neighborhoods. With a poll for candidates. When do we want neighborhood
When are we gonna stop
delegate
accepting?
packets?
When are we gonna stop accepting candidates?
Stop accepting candidates for,
The delegates,
for a board.
no,
No,
delegates.
Delegates.
um. I mean,
You think clearly, so what happens is we're gonna accept all these candidates, right? In different sections, and
Now you have to have an election for each
now we're gonna
section.
do another
Now,
electronic vote for each
can-
section.
can we do the election same night?
I'm gonna say maybe future
You can
now, so that's a lot of heavy weight.
Well, what about the following month of December or January?
For sure.
Okay, so then why don't we accept until like November? Like the November first or second, or,
So, yeah, that's a good decent amount of time.
Let's back up one.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
okay.
When do we do in the board election?
Yeah,
An annual meeting.
Annual meeting.
That's what the intermittent for, will it,
that's its main function. right?
when we have some meetings, we discuss it, if there's no meetings otherwise.
Yeah. And then we want to do the,
Yes, it would be nice to also do that. I mean, but I don't know.
I think it would be too confusing.
To do what?
To do the delegates and the,
If you can do the election, electronic election at the same time, it's really easy to push them through all the different sections to do the regular poll. Like, here's the board members, here's your delegate, and go on, the login will have to be set up so that they only saw their delegates, but it can be done.
so do we wanna, if we're gonna do that, then we should try to stay within. Timeline, because we wanna give enough time.
I gotta look at that. Yeah, you might be right, it might be actually easier to do it.
It is, you can, you would set up groups, in this case, it would be the neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods would get all the board members and their delegates, and that's all they'd see. Westlake would get all the board members, the delegates.
Yeah, I remember that, you're right,
And-
and then at the end, you're gonna get your
Well,
results.
for delegates, do we need a lot of information, just their,
so based on, you group people by
so
addresses.
Well,
what if we do?
It's already-
November?
Yeah.
There's no
it's already
rules
by
saying, you can't
addresses.
say November.
Yes, which I'm
Second,
saying, I
have them-
forgot what we used to check, buddy,
Okay.
whatever that.
I don't
Yeah,
think
You
there's
can
any-
make groups
can't
in
say
there, that's
November
exactly that, so you can say all these people.
Yeah,
are
the
part of West.
election committee to take care of setting it up, that's not a problem, the issues is exactly what we're gonna do. It's, you know,
I would, because you're seeing one electronic vote, and then you get to vote for,
just be like all the polls
Candidate.
and saying, this is your region, fill out your stuff, well,
Yeah.
region, here's your ticket.
while you got them looking at it, they're gonna answer rollover for cash from the previous year. And then they're gonna answer who they want to elect for board members, and then they're gonna say who they want from their precinct, just so we do rest of the time.
Yeah, I think do it all at the same time and just, I would say, I would just have a later date for the due date because we're not in a rush for any reason for the delegates.
Yeah, but then they can't, if you have a later date, then it can't be voted on the annual meeting.
Yeah,
They can't-
we will have a,
Keep it simple, keep the dates the same.
Okay, so then just ask for them for October 2nd.
So candidates for the board and candidates for voter delegates are all due October 2nd.
Okay, so
So you're gonna
Plus
have
you
a separate
may-
meeting for people to meet their delegates?
that's what I was gonna say, delegates may wanna come to be presented at the.
And then you're gonna have 30 people, it can't be like here, if you, let's say, you're gonna get your primary and secondary.
I think there's two separate nights.
yeah, why don't we just do separate nights? What night can we do for the delegates?
If you want me to run for the board, it would have to
12, we
be,
have the director's night, and then we have a delegate night.
because otherwise I would be
I
out.
don't think we need a night for the 41 houses.
October 10th?
It's really zero.
I leave on the 11th for.
Yeah, so you mean, you want to change the candidate?
That I can also have that.
Right.
Mm.
He can't do this, because he lives on the left, so we could do the 10 for candidate.
Is the Lake House available on the 10th?
Is the 10th okay for delegate night? The delegates.
I don't
Not
have
for
it.
delegates,
For the, no,
for candidates.
for candidates.
Board. Board candidates.
Directors.
We said the 12th, but Matt can't be here. So if
Delegates
he
and
wants to
directors.
run, he won't be here for that. So that would be the 10th.
What dates you're gonna have you're gonna have board directors, candidates, and I am telling
Right,
you.
so it's 8 days after, I mean, that's fine.
What dates you have?
Okay, what,
October 10th.
10 for directors and 12 for delegates or what?
Or you were saying hold out longer for the delegates?
October
Well,
for
you
Canada.
can't if you're.
No, candidates like the next day, be 2 days apart.
I mean, is it available? What's the available?
Yes. Yeah, the Lake House is available on the tenth, yes.
So we could do the 10th.
10 for director candidates, 12 for.
Well, yeah, there we go. So,
Got it?
That makes sense?
anything else that we need for,
And we have to mail this mailing by,
So
30 days.
sooner than that,
30 days?
if you're going to vote in the ARC on September 28th, you need to get this thing out. September, I would say September 8th.
you know, we,
It gives you a week to write it, send it out, make sure everyone's happy with it, then we need print time, stuff time.
Stuff time's not terrible. We can get that done in an hour or so.
Okay,
so you want it mailed on,
Way too many times. yeah.
mailed on the 8th.
You don't have to do it. You're
When do you
gonna.
legally have to mail it?
You have to mail it 14 days prior to your vote. Your vote is on the 20th.
yeah,
So
but,
by the 14th then. Then it has to be mailed.
Yes, but I would go before,
yeah, let's do it if we can get it.
because you're trying to land it at people's houses.
Earlier the better, in my opinion.
Give yourself buffer. If you don't make it Friday, then it's going out.
Right.
If you want, you know. I don't think there's gonna be any opposition because what we've done is, you know, wax some things up and improve some things, so we'll see.
Okay,
I mean,
so
another-
plan on Friday.
I didn't know document.
Okay, so anything else for this, or can we move on?
Document, right?
Yeah, I got it. She got it finished and I think we had to convert it to.
I converted it first step, final.
So I haven't.
All right.
seen it
I
since
think we should move on
Okay,
to,
we're good there?
yeah,
Oh, it's a good idea.
Um,
Tell you what this-
I think we're at new business 2024
Yeah,
budget
new,
item.
new business, okay, budget items, dates, budget workshop dates for 2024.
Yep, so I went through those over here.
They're fine.
All right, John's good for Tuesdays, you're good with those Tuesdays?
Sorry,
You're good with those Tuesdays also?
for the most part, yes.
I heard,
I said the 19th.
No. The 19th, I'm out.
okay,
So they're on the,
management, yeah,
So this way you'll be able to have the next.
Just
yep,
Okay.
5th, 12th, 19th, 26th, and the 3rd.
yep, that's what I have now, so.
My only advice is, when you do your portfolio posts, do Facebook posts too.
Yeah.
Knock them both out. People don't say anything.
So-
Do two. Do 2 days apart,
So
3 days
if
apart,
she wants to talk,
you know.
she
If you know, we're doing like the master's obvious, but you know, whatever day we're doing. Like service area on, bombard that service area.
Yep, I think that's, okay, so we could, so then we need next one on the list, I see poll workers.
Poll
Yes.
workers.
Thank you,
Did
John.
everyone see that?
Did everyone see that?
along.
It is.
I don't think it's a huge conversation. Is anyone against having polling services?
Has it ever been done here before?
well, how many people and what's the size of the district? If it's just the community, that's great. If not, this is not a big room.
It's not a big room, no. Well, because I don't know, but like last year, polling was at the,
Palmetto Club Island.
yeah, oh, no, it's huge. So,
Right, yeah, I mean, so it depends. They're just trying to make a smaller district that's the Fish Hawk West. Yeah, that's great.
It's
You
fine.
start putting Boyette Creek and all other people. then-
Right.
Preliminary meeting was, they're gonna do an onsite,
Right, they're gonna.
and they're gonna decide if it's for them or not.
Oh, so yeah,
So this is this year preliminary, hey, if we could do it, be
Right.
honest.
right, so I
We'll
think,
be okay with that.
right, yeah, I think, you know, preliminary, have them come in and say, oh, this doesn't work. you know.
Right.
I mean, if it's just for a small section, I don't see a problem with it, but if they're looking for a large,
We're certainly big enough to do it for our area.
Yeah.
you know, so.
Absolutely.
Again, they're the judges of that. They specialize in this. They don't wanna set this place up for failure. They'll just say, that's okay, we're scouting in 6 other locations as
Yeah.
well.
I have no problem
So
with that.
do we wanna make a motion to give them the okay to? come scout?
motion that to approve
Can we
the polling services?
Okay, motion's on the table, according to the rules. You motioned it, someone seconds it, and then we open it for discussion.
Okay, yeah,
So
second
motion,
that.
Seconded. My point of discussion is that this will basically hog up the lake house for a week. Because if you read the instructions, it says they're gonna drop off all their equipment a week prior to the election. So there's 3 days they wanna do it, March 19th, August 20th, and November 5th. So the entire week before that, this place will be not available for rentals, a meeting.
Oh, so this is even for the primaries. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
This is for the primaries and the election?
there's three, yeah, the presidential preface primary election, the primary election, and then the general election
So,
in 2024. That's my point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, but I personally think any benefits outweigh it. I think it's great for the opponent place if we can. Just me, but
well, if I mean, it's on the calendar. Is that a high rental period or not?
Any other comments on this?
August, March.
If they're consuming the lake house a week, there's possible loss of revenue, I have to look at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say March might be a peak time. Right now. August.
Do my civic duty to help things if we can.
even if it is a whole week, we have to learn a little bit more about it too. I don't know. I know that you said they're dropping off their equipment, but is that,
What do we have to lose by having them come and do the assessment?
that's what I said. Patty, see the red flags if there's.
Well, where, and I guess my question is, where would they lock their equipment up at?
That as well,
Yeah.
so.
Well, my motion is just for this assessment, so it's not, we can revisit it as necessary.
I have a feeling they're gonna come here and go, this just isn't big enough.
I have that for the same thing.
Yeah, so let them do the assessment. That's what I suggest.
Although the pulling equipment is, folds to like a suitcase package that can stack them up, they're pretty easy to put aside, but.
We'll see what they assess.
All in favor of Johanna's motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And we got someone on the thing, so she can't speak, so
Kathy have been,
Kathy, are you aye or no?
thumbs up or thumbs down.
Kathy, can you hear us?
Kathy? Well,
She's thumbs up.
okay.
Okay.
Fitness center policy rules, Patty had put in some changes she wanted there, or Jennifer, or both of you.
There's no changes, but I do want to have the authority to lock people out when they have their children in there. I want to shut off the whole family access until they come in front of the board or explain why they're giving access to their child underage.
I never had any assumption that you did not have.
You don't have that authority?
Well,
I believe it, I've been doing it, but I want to told you know that.
No,
It's the nice way to tell you.
yeah, I mean, the same thing.
so
with
do you want a motion to approve the fitness policy updates?
Did you make the updates? in
I
this?
didn't do the updates in here yet. So she's giving me the authority.
I thought I saw a document in here all in bold.
Well, we can make a motion, pass the motion.
There is a document, I went through every single thing.
So I want to know what is the nature of the equipment failures?
Well, between the children that being underage that have been there. And that's one of our biggest concerns, and they do it all the time. But right now, we have a pulley and a cord on the leg press that has to be replaced,
You have a what?
a pulley and a.
A pulley and a cable on the leg press that's been snapped. It's broke the cable.
Is it broken from abuse or broken from?
Could misuse.
Most likely it broke from dropping, like they pushed it, like the foot
And then
goes
let
and
their feet
smash,
go.
and it pulls on the cable. It's the most common way they break. But the way it broke is kind of weird. The picture that she sent over, the gear is shut off on the one side, that's kind of reached, the gear wasn't, really solid to start with.
No, they're gonna fix it.
Yeah,
Well, the question at the hand is that, do we need a motion to approve any policy updates?
Right, so I see you put the fitness center policy in here, but you didn't make any changes.
I didn't
Just
make any
cleared it
changes.
wasn't gold.
Right.
So do you want to make a change to the policy? Or you're just asking for permission to lock people out.
I mean, we can put it
And
in, make a motion.
well, I also have two questions. One is eligible users, and this may or may not be positive, but, it gets a little confusing when you're, 16, 14, 15. Do we just say the fitness center is 16 and older? And that it's pretty clear that, who's with whom and, if you look underage and you walk in, I mean, I've walked in and throw kids out and, I'm 13, I can be here.
Well, do we check ages when we give them IDs and put
They
in the?
use, yes, we do.
Okay, so,
Who's using his phone?
They're using their parents'
My
house.
dad gave me, they wanted to get him out of the
Get to
house.
what Patty was saying, if someone's using a font that's not theirs, then their file will show off.
Right,
So the child has to use their child file to get in, and that's easy enough to check. You just look at the security cameras and see how they got in.
Exactly.
And it has a log of every single time somebody buzzes in.
So I agree, but we had a stretch in the summer where it was happening every day. And
I agree with you. I like 16 better too, but I wouldn't change it right now.
Cause there are some kids that are like 15, they're on the football team, they come with their parents, and they're
And
not.
we have color code already set to this. and
that's fine. So,
So,
and the only other one I have on is any fitness program operated, established and run by amenity staff may have priority over other fitness. What amenity staff?
That I don't know, that was in before.
That was in before us.
I mean, we could change it. The
We did at one point have a minimum staff in the pool, but I don't think it was also, so.
Right.
Yeah, but we've never had an amenity staff, right? I mean,
I think I think when they say amenity staff, we never had directed just amenity staff, but we did have management that handed out pool cues, pool balls, and went over there and took care of stuff over there. That's probably what they're referring to as amenity staff. But,
okay,
I mean, yeah, we were, sure.
that was the only two questions.
All right, cause we shut off the whole family, not just the one.
Oh, I think, yeah, I mean, it's just,
No, I think you should shut off the whole thing. It's the only way you're gonna get that.
and what,
All right.
30 days?
well, do we want to put this in the minutes and,
There's no
they-
change, the policies are staying the same, this is just kind of a review of policies.
okay, so if there's no policies, I think we can move on.
We want to put in the policy that.
Okay, no hassle accounting proposal.
To do that.
And there was conversation today about all this. Okay, so we have one Mark I talked to, I don't know the name.
So I talked to a couple, and it doesn't mean that we have to go with them, I'm just opening, I'm putting it on the table for conversation. We have professionalized office staff, we have professionalized our cleaning staff, we've professionalized our security. And we're moving away from volunteers for all of these things that tax people here 40 hours a week plus. Side note, I would like to really, the community to recognize what a momentous lift Sean Rowland did. It's the budget for the past year. Working upwards 20, 30 folks. What's that?
It's been almost 3 years.
Yeah. And part of this is to alleviate that, so he doesn't have to work 40 hours a week on our budget. To benefit the entire community, when it's something that, much like all the other services we have, we should be paying for. Someone that will professionally do it and we can hold them accountable and fire them if we don't like them. So that's what this is. I got one quote from No Hassle Accounting for do all the bookkeeping. Twice a week, they'll come into the office, collect checks, cash checks, take them to the bank, balance the books, sit with Patty, sit with Jennifer, go over Folio, everything we do. No Hassle uses Folio. They're very familiar with Folio. She said she loves Folio, willing to teach our staff and the board how to use Folio, and that'll be useful when we have a new board of people that don't know how to use Folio. But it's just one, and it's all I could find was one. I called Solvency now, and I spoke with them. They're not willing to do on-sites, and they're not willing to touch Folio.
So obviously now it's proven. Even out of the get-go, when we did hire them, they initially told me they would work in portfolio and they backed out. We also interviewed another management company that would do the work in that portfolio, but it was the same price, $2 per unit. The interesting part of this is that I've been dragging them along, and the intent was not for me to do the data entry. The intent was for me to manage the data. And still, that's should be the way that the board should manage the data. We should know what's going on with finances. So I think it was the last conversation we had, and I know there was an email that I sent to Tommy stating that I'd really love to find someone to work in Appfolio. So I have contacted 8 different candidates from Appfolio's recommendation. They gave us referrals, 3 of which have responded to me, some of which are not at that pricing, but none of them will do on-site, which is not huge, by the way. The reason we need on-site is because we take checks. If we get away with that process, we don't need anything.
Okay, give it a check. I still want to stand on that.
That was the original intent, is to automate as much as humanly possible. So the thing is that every quote that I get is varied on the units based in that folio. And the units in that folio are 1,822. So even if it's $1 per person per unit, it's $1,800 and 1822 a month. We originally paid 70 cents per user for AppFolio, usage, and as of tomorrow, it is going up. And that was built in the contract, they gave us a 70 cent, it goes to 90 cent tomorrow. And if you remember a couple meetings ago, or last board meeting, we had a conversation about them charging a fee for the ACH. That fee was what I thought it was. It's $2.38 per ACH draft for everything you do. So that means if you put a check in for the Westlake or check in for the Mass Reach month, it's gonna cost you another $5 to process those checks, directly take it out of my account, we don't do anything with it. Or we could opt in to have them raise our rate per unit to $1.90, and they'll cover those costs.
I do appreciate all that. I remember we had that discussion in the previous board meeting, and that's something we could work into the budget next year, but that's a little off topic from bookkeeping.
It's all bookkeeping, it's all part of the bookkeeping budget.
Yeah, right, that's AppFolio's fee. So I'm
The other-
looking at a specific bookkeeper to come and I did talk to Kim Knowles, the owner of the company, and she said she didn't care how many accounts it was. I told her we have some houses with multiple accounts. I explained her whole service area thing. She says, I don't care. I'll charge you $2 a door to come out twice a week. And then if we only need her once a week, which Pat is telling me we really only want to need her once a week, she said it would drop down to $1.25 a door.
Okay.
So the
But
week
there's-
has to do with the checks, right?
Yes,
So if we drop them down the next week, that's more or less going in, and we're flagged,
And what?
flagged,
so the other thing that the contract does say is that it's what, there's $160 per hour overage. I don't know what entails that I read in it, and there's no other things involved. But, my concern is that Folio is not for the faint of heart. It's not the best accounting program. That's one of the things that made it difficult to get it set up correctly. There's a lot of moving parts here. Is she aware that we have 11 bank accounts? Is she aware that there are, all those moving parts inside those bank accounts? Because it's like 5 different businesses.
Yes.
So,
Can we make a motion? Then don't want to think, are we
No,
feeling comfortable with
this
this,
is
or are we?
not ready for a motion.
Okay.
This,
Okay.
I think what Mark was doing is trying to get the conversation and the ball rolling. As he said in an email earlier, it'd be great to see Sean, John, Patty meet with these 4 to 8 individual companies, including no hassle. Systematically between each other, decide what your top 3 are, bring that back to the table for the board.
And this is considering that we might drop checks, correct? That's the main issue.
But that's another whole
It's
second-
one of the
that's another whole
issues.
Discussion.
Takes up several hours of my time a week minimum without going to the bank. It takes up a huge amount of her time.
That's right. And
I don't-
so
That's a
hiring
separate-
somebody, it won't take up your time anymore. It
Yeah.
would take up Kim Knowles' time or whoever she sends out here to pick up the
Understood,
checks.
but we're paying for that, right? So the point is that one of the things we were trying to do when we transitioned off of, not that I want the word, don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. We were trying to transition off of the big management companies because we had little control or little understanding what they were doing, and it was always just, here's a bunch of paper, figure it out yourself. The problem with that is that we don't know what's going on. People ask us questions about finances, ask us questions about things that we can't answer. It requires still a whole lot of work to keep up on that, whether you do the checks or not. The checks is a very small part of this. It really is. Coming and picking up the checks, you can actually have the bank come pick up the check.
So then this is the goal then, so much like when John Levingood was here, and we told John Levingood and the security company, find someone that we can pay to do what you do. That's what we need to do now. Find someone to pay that we can do what you do. And you're still gonna have the oversight, but someone's gonna do all the grunt work.
No, that's the way it was designed in
Yeah,
the beginning. It just didn't turn out that way.
So-
Sorry.
Yeah, and it's, we got work to do. We
So
got
I
work to do, so.
just need the action items if we're gonna proceed with waiting for your, whatever quotes or whatever you services that we've, then let's make that.
I wanna see 3 quotes that are for identical services, apples to apples. At the next meeting.
That you 3 are in agreement. There's
Yes.
no reason to involve the whole group in this project. I mean, Sean, John, Patty, you're gonna have to work with them as well. You guys are specialists.
All right,
You tell us company A is the one to go with.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're pretty familiar with contractor work, finding people.
All right, well, just to move along, if we can get 3 more quotes, then we can proceed. We'll put that on for next meeting, if there's no,
Love it.
all right. Just,
All right, I got tablet, iPad Pro, 11-inch 4th gen, security management, motion needed. Okay, so this is an old table, like, bring it back. Our security company needs an iPad to view the security cameras at night. That's why we're putting a lockbox in over there, so that we could plug in the iPad, get it charged, they could have it available for them. They'll also give them access to Facebook, so if anyone posted something weird, like, hey, there's a weird guy dragging a fridge down watercolor, which has happened, they could see it and go check it out. In addition to, Patty can use it out on the field every day, so it's kind of a win-win. I did put together a small quote here on what I found online real quick. Find my document in here. Not bad.
what's
So
the,
I looked at,
Right.
same iPad, I went through Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, this is what they were off. Okay, we could do $75 today on both Verizon and AT&T. T-Mobile was high at $280 today. Monthly contracts, pretty much all you can eat data, 117, Verizon is expensive, most expensive, it's not odd. And then you're dealing with $86 for AT&T and $80 a month for T-Mobile. And they were both all based on 36 term except for T-Mobile. I can't stress how much I don't recommend AT&T.
all right.
Yeah, I read that subtle recommendation.
It's subtle, very subtle.
So,
Does this include the device?
This is the device.
Okay.
okay,
The only thing that would be on top of this, I want to buy a screen protector and a nice case to put it in. Put $100.
Like $100 or something.
all right,
More.
so motion to approve the Verizon,
Probably, yeah.
Second,
okay. So on the table,
Lou, wanna-
What was the motion? Yeah.
motion to approve, the expenses for the iPad,
Which one?
from Verizon.
Will this come out as
A
security?
second.
I seconded because the expert said, right.
Any
I
further-
I don't have experience with
$17 a month.
And that'll come out of the security budget?
Can't,
Yeah.
you can't, no, because you're spending the security budget on the fee, we'll have to raise the security budget for the first year, but yes.
Okay, so this is a money issue now.
So we're setting it,
Come on, something.
we've got a 6-month cushion in there right now.
Right, but I'm just,
So we're not sure how we're going to use the money completely. We
Right.
do know what we're doing. So I would say for this year, we go ahead and charge it to the security so that when we look forward to the budget, we can decide if we want to leave it there, or put it somewhere else.
don't disagree, I was just making the statement that it's, if you're bringing on the monthly budget, it's already maxed out for that part of it, but yes, the buffer does cover it for this year. If forward, we have to put another line item or another additional.
Yeah.
Just said it differently than John did, so.
I mean, I don't know what our communications budget looks like, I have to look at it, but Sean, like our phones. This could easily probably fall in the IT budget.
Well, it seems logical to put the connectivity in the same IT budgets anyway, so, yeah, it does. It does,
Alright.
so just gotta change one of the budget lines, that's why I said, you gotta change one of the lines to compensate for it.
We have a question or, why is the security company not providing their own equipment? I guess.
They do, not that we can tap into, so they do have their own full-fledged software that they have that we'll get reporting on as well. But we can't put our security cameras on there, we can't put Facebook on there.
Yeah, and
This is,
plus,
They're going
this is
to
an addition. to
our
our team.
system.
yes, it would be our system, and plus Patty will be.
So they have their,
I'm just passing the question.
yeah, they're gonna have their phone, which scans all the RFID codes at all the locations that they put into their system, and then they're gonna have our iPad to view cameras. Access, basically.
It's physically gonna be next control.
Yes, so it's actually gonna be in a lockbox. In the fitness center up there that gets charged, when they're done with their shift, they can go in there and plug it in. And then Patty could use it during the day when she's out from that.
So she's electronic protected, so that nobody gets in there from belonging with and get shot.
I will work. That exercise.
All right, are we ready to vote?
All those in favor, I'm going with Friday.
Well, let's bring something here, hold on. Out of the press. That was not how it was presented, that was not how it was presented.
Exactly how it was presented to us. at
Well,
the meeting.
Yes, can you, I don't know if you can hear me, are you saying we're at a vote, yes, yea or nay?
And she's hearing through that.
She says no, we got a no vote from there.
Okay,
One no.
no, any others?
Motion carried. Employee agreement, I don't have much to touch on that, it's part of what we talked about at our closed meeting we had, and I'm working on it, I just got it like literally 2 hours ago, so I'm putting it together, I'm waiting on an amendment, or addendum, and as soon as I get that piece, probably tomorrow, I will have it passed around to the board for review.
So we're tabling it.
So,
Well, it actually doesn't even take a motion, we need to do this, we've already agreed that we're going to do this at our meeting, I just need to get it finalized from the attorney.
so do we want a motion to, have,
It's not even a motion. I'm literally just informing. This is getting done. It's coming away. It's the reason I'm postponing my state to 15th to make sure I get this accomplished.
okay. All right, so this for approval at that point? The agreement by the board or no?
It's already done.
Okay.
We've already run.
Oh, you mean in the close, okay, so
No, yeah.
I'm just asking, do we need a motion now?
No.
Okay.
We are, as soon as I have it, we're gonna have the opportunity to dot i's and cross t's.
Okay, so for
before-
review, coming soon. Okay. All right, then, okay, we can move to,
Proposals, Master Association, landscaping, tree trimming, motion needed not to exceed.
Not to exceed $12,000 to deadwood the trees.
We have it?
We don't only because Haley is actually switching companies. She's going to only us. Then they will do the work for us. But Haley is the person that came to the meeting originally. I don't know if you guys remember her. She's awesome. So she actually gave notice. The day she came, she was giving her notice the next day. But her new company will do the work for us. So
So this is where, Sean should be spending $12,000.
that's what.
I don't know what the priorities are on the other items that are on the list for tonight. And my understanding was, didn't we raise the canopy already in on that section?
It was not.
So I already spent 12 on it, I think before, and we only had 24.
So
in the
this is
budget,
just
so
for
it's
this
still in the
stuff.
budget, but yeah.
For this side
For
and
this side and then on the front.
on the front.
No, I think, try to. You tell us.
I almost got killed, so yeah, I'm a little for it.
Oh, I thought it was endangering kids. That's
In
what I was
hurricane
thinking.
season, it's a safety issue. I have a tendency to want to spend the money because I'm worried about things falling from the clouds and everything like that. Like
And
that,
it's
so
recorded.
I don't like liability.
Yeah, Patty, if you're for, I mean, this is where we're all gonna need on your advice, because you're out there, you're walking, you're looking at it, you're getting a call.
And we-
budget is, we're good for this?
It's in the budget.
We got the
Okay.
money, you're saying we need to do it, okay, I'll make a motion to approve it not to exceed $12,000. Landscaping treatment,
Oh, a
Second.
second, okay, so.
all those in favor?
Aye. Let's wait for the,
Any votes?
I in the California vote.
Okay. All right,
Sunrise Landscaping, mulch installation at Lake House.
So we have the proposals in front of you.
I don't.
Well, this is why I brought up the question of the money
I agree.
early, because I think we need to prioritize all these. If
Exactly.
we're
So
only gonna
I'm
spend-
trying to make statements of
Right.
what's the priorities here, folks.
So if we just go straight down, it'll be,
Right.
If it comes from
Comes between,
trees falling on kids or mulch, I'm going with trees falling on kids.
Exactly, that's why I said. It's the
they're accepting the risk.
No, I'm going to.
he means don't have the trees.
They're going with the mulch, I'm going with the mulch.
It's when they fall off.
Which
they'll
page
land
is
on
this
the mulch.
Uh,
What's the odds of them falling there when a tree falls?
Sorry, I didn't remember them.
So I wanted to
So
ask.
it's the first one on the sunrise.
didn't we-
Is this the 10,651?
Yes.
We did.
We did.
And
And
this is for around the
we
week.
said, don't, do it.
The entire.
if I remember,
So
well,
it's
it
the
was at
back.
least my.
I
preference.
motion we table this till next week.
I am
Okay.
against that. So one-
I will second that motion.
What was it?
That was my-
Motion to table till next month,
So
Mulch.
John
Mhm.
around the weekends.
has decided that.
Well, we got 3 or 4 mulches going here.
You're-
Take them one at a time.
Well, this one's, it's just,
Well,
well,
we're trying to prioritize, okay, how much money do we have to spend?
this is the lake
They're gonna
house.
cut back.
So this is just under the next one.
This would be on the master.
So the next one's will be under.
Look back at it,
I think we
financial
should-
standpoint, but-
Well, I see, I wasn't sure where it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
so that's why.
And
I'm
I can't see
motion
the
to table
magical
those on
mulch.
the board.
changing this.
I just relaying the motion document.
It's,
So, because it just.
You guys will talk about mulch,
probably just when you do it every year, Tom.
Well, there's a motion on the table to table the,
They just said.
So it's
I don't- I don't
I'm
know.
basing,
Oh,
you said we got
like
15
us.
grand for this.
You notice I put where.
Yep.
So we don't buy mulch if it's
Stop
not
to the next meeting, then they can approve it then if that's possible.
Every sheet of paper.
So there's a motion to table, there's a motion to table.
yes,
Second,
yes,
all those in favor of table mulch?
I,
Aye.
I have a comment about mulch just for a second, there. I'm sorry about that. It's, the reason for not wanting to do it every year is not just because it looks. The cost to remove it after it builds up after 3 or 4 years is highly, highly expensive, allowing it to break down each time in fall. When we go to shredded mulch, it'll break down and you can pile it for about 5 years before removal. If you do it every other year, you can get almost 10 years before removal. We're getting ready to spend $35,000 to remove mulch from sandpaper.
I get it, it's still a money.
But sandpaper
So why
has
do
been
we
around for like a year, so why are we removing?
Does it mean that?
For here.
I don't know.
So this is-
Like
I mean,
I
it's
say,
like less than 2 years old.
I don't know why they just don't go on.
So why are we removing it?
They're removing it to get the,
Yeah.
because they're expecting mulch
Yeah.
and the contract says they get mulch, so that's why I wanted to kind of change that timing.
All right.
Mark is usually the
So,
next
what,
item.
the next one is pool planting,
Yeah, full plantings, do, again, money, do we want to
How-
leave it
how-
addressed?
how much?
Hold on, stop. We tabled for next month,
Mhm.
the installation of 500 bales of pine straw
Mhm,
for $10,650.
mhm.
Tom is on the line, so if anyone has any questions.
The next one is old mulch removal for $10,010.
And this is not needed here.
Explain this to me.
This is what?
This is not needed here because we don't have any mulch
We don't
left.
have
there.
any planting.
So what is this for then?
And there are small places in, actually, this would take out at the courthouse.
Okay.
It would pick up that, but at this point, I don't think we should do it.
Okay. Then for the old mulch removal for 10,010.
Mhm.
So we're just not gonna do it
We're
at all.
just
We're
not
not tabling it, we're just not doing it,
Just not.
Mhm.
okay?
Pine straws for here,
Pine straws for him.
Motion to vote no on, or motion to decline.
I'm not sure
We
what
don't
you're
even
talking.
need- we don't
Yeah.
need-
Okay,
You don't even need to know.
press. Now we get to the full plans.
Pool plants.
So which one did we cancel?
You want to spend that down there?
No. When we go back, so we're talking about it, telling
They didn't, they were nine ones, one of us, and I just couldn't go out and order.
Okay, so the plants.
And I got no boundaries.
A whole bunch of plans.
I see
This is.
742 is one.
Hey, Tom. If you can hear me, no need to really respond to the request, but John pulls up a good point here. On all the quotes at the top, can you put where it's going? So if it's for the lake house, it's for lake house. I noticed you have been doing this in the service areas of Sport Fair Villas. There was just a confusion where the pine straw was going. There was no indication as to where.
Yes, absolutely. The pine straw was for the lake house, but the master is the master, so that would be mulch at the lake house, dog park, and the pool, all combined into one.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Thanks, Tom.
Sir.
So there's quite a few, I see the spots where they're suggesting plants.
The pool needs the work. I don't
full
think-
needs plants, there's no question.
Yeah, I can see that there, it's quite, we don't have a total.
Spent the money on
No,
trimming
he-
trees.
because
So
the
now-
board asked me to break it down.
So I see it, it's great. Do we have to table it? I think we do. If we're tabling it based on the fact that we've already spent up to $12,000 out of our $15,000 for the budget, I think we have to table the pool.
All right, so a motion to table the pool plant.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
No plants at the pool right now.
Perfect. You have Sandpiper in your scheduled mulch?
Yes, they're getting theirs on the 8th.
Awesome.
That's just a FYI.
That's just enough, right?
Sagewood, yeah.
$19,500, no, it's a dollars.
Sagewood, you have a motion needed, Bellinger irrigation, 13506 circa.
Yes, this one is the location under the big tree back in the corner. We need to change the nozzles, and there's gotta be another property, like Gail wasn't able to get it to me because of the hurricane. It's gonna be approximately the same, so this way, we keep putting mulch in the same location 3 years in a row. So, thank you. And this way, you don't, I wanna fix the problem, not band-aid it and
What's the total there?
409.
409, to fixing for the irrigation. Is this coming out of
Sagewood.
Citrus within budget?
Yeah.
All right, so motion to approve, the 409 for the irrigation.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
This is just, we'll change
Carried.
the budget.
Pressure washing. I saw Ian's and Green, I missed Sunrises somewhere in there. Okay,
I didn't see any sunrise.
We didn't have a
Sunrise, but that's washing?
I just have
it's a bullet point under pressure.
Oh.
Sunrise. Pressure.
Really? Good enough. We have the two, they're both actually current, they're both at price. King's Power Washing actually came back, at 19,000.
Are they both green and white?
They're in their own row. Green Earth is the one that did it last year. And unfortunately, there's mulch and, power washing that needs to be done over there. Power washing needs to be done first.
Okay, what's your recommendation?
So it's,
Green Earth.
yeah, it's like $7,000-8,000 as well.
Mhm.
Should we do it after stormy season or?
Actually, this is, after September is the season you start doing it to get, not have any more grow.
Okay, so you recommend green and after.
Motion to approve, Greener?
What budget is this coming
Let's see, yeah,
Okay.
we're okay with it.
So good, okay.
So
we got-
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
No opposed. Patty, do you wanna look at that? You have a sunrise proposal, it could be a typo, but you have sunrise
that comes
proposal,
up.
erosion control.
Yeah, there is
Thumbs up
one
from
more.
Kelly.
So this is going into the
Okay,
next section.
great.
So this is the erosion control. We did the first one. And that it's between the houses. I meant to get
With the
pictures.
sticky mulch, special.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
tracing-
I saw,
Yeah.
So we have 3 more that we need to do. And they really need it. So if we had a budget, I truly,
what is the price on it?
the next page is 2316, and that would be the highest. Tom, is that right?
I'm trying to.
Sorry, Don, if you didn't hear, we're looking at the mulch, 2316, 23,000,
2300.
2300.
2,300, yep. That was a test case and we are actually much more efficient, I think, now that we know the process. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be close to that, but yes, we can do them. And, it was super successful. We still have mulch in place throughout all the heavy rains and, it definitely worked exactly as we had hoped.
That's 2300 for the additional ones, all of them combined or each? Each, okay.
That would be each, but again, I would think based on what I saw and now we know what we know with it, I can probably keep it closer to that 1,500, 1,400 mark somewhere in there, but I can communicate that to Patty after we take a closer look.
They're not as large as the one we did. So the one that we did complete was the largest and the worst.
So what are we looking at, 6,000?
All of them?
Let's just go with 2300.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario. There's what, 4?
7,000, just a little under $7,000.
2,300 times 6.
6,900 plus 16 is 60.
I only have 4 homes left right here.
Okay, 4.
4,
So
92.
92.
9,200 and
How much should we,
$64.
how much did we already spend on Sagewood? in the past time?
14,995.
And, I mean, they got it.
They still have the money. So,
I'll make a motion to approve.
All 4.
Seconds.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
California says yes.
Next. New controllers.
So this is I mean, we've been budgeting for it all year, so it's gonna be the controllers for Sagewood and Air Villas.
Saw those. Sean, I know you've been working closely on the price on this. Any say you here?
we certainly have the availability to order them at this point. There's still money to do so. It's about $70,000 between the two. Of them. So, Sagewood's a little, little tighter, but there's definitely money in the paired villas to take care of it at this point.
Should we put a figure
I think so. I think if it was in the budget, it was controversial to start with. I don't think you want to swing it out any further than we have to.
We have it in the budget.
It is.
Sagebrush is 25,294, and Fair Villas is 37,500.
That's a quote from Dollar, yeah. Probably order those directly from, official.
So each of them have the 20. One has the 26 and the other has 25 plus and the other has 35.
Do we know how soon they're looking to execute? Because we don't have Wi-Fi.
No, but I mean, you can install them without the Wi-Fi program, or
Yeah.
just let them sit there and think them afterwards, it's not a big deal.
Because we have an electrician that can.
That's the problem with the electrician at this point.
So I have two that I'm.
We need to have the timers mounted to the outside and hardwired into the electrical as opposed to plugged into an outlet.
Normally, the-
For 76 units.
I just need to make a
Because
note.
The electrical's inside the building,
They don't have an outside plug by the,
depends on where the valves are, but some of them do not, that's correct.
have we gotten a site survey yet on which ones they, because I believe most.
Yeah, I went
homes
through
have an
those at
outside
some point.
exterior bound up.
If you plug them, if you just plug them in, of course, then they can just unplug them anytime they want to, but we'll see. Point taken.
Asking Tommy if he's on the network running these timers, we need to include that in the cost.
No cost, yeah, I'm
Well,
free labor, public labor.
And then what time
We
is
still have
it?
equipment by that too,
We
right?
still have equipment, we can buy it, we need to,
Okay.
we need to kind of
For
like
the
survey that.
controllers.
So I can respond, you're cheap.
Very cheap.
So you're saying we
Take that
don't,
as a compliment to you, actually.
Okay,
we don't have an electrician to sort it out.
so that's the issue.
Yeah. And
If you just want to plug them in by hand, it's a slot and install it.
I'm just talking
But
about.
that's not included.
I haven't used it.
Yeah,
That's electrical, and I wanna meet with him and see if we set out to do this, and he doesn't charge us $75.
I can't hear.
I think we do.
He's gonna meet with someone that doesn't charge us more than $75 to do the work.
To wire in each controller.
Mhm. But he'll have to work it with Bound and when we do it, as we said it.
Most likely valves, the control needs to be mounted up over the valves, not directly, but close to the valves, the wire can get down to them and remove. You know, usually there's gotta be a wire that goes either to an outlet that's close.
Should be-
properly.
So what's our total here, Rick?
The two combined is about 52,000 and 53,000.
53,000 combined?
25 plus to 37 plus, so it's just a few $100 less than 53.
So why don't we make a motion to proceed as a cap of 52,000? We'll work closely with Gail, but
But they're two different associations,
let's say approve both at their
right?
cost as would be
Yeah,
included.
so round up and say not to exceed.
Round up and go close.
June, this is the June.
Because we're gonna need to know a little bit more, how much electrical work is actually needed, what's it gonna cost. Gail's gonna figure that out on on-site, need to work closely.
Yeah.
You should see any red flags if something comes in at 10,000.
Maybe based on that, what do you say, 53
What is it, 50,
or 50? That's
26 and,
But there's some 22,
and 38.
so we're,
So
maybe,
just not to exceed, just round it up from what they have there. Like,
yeah,
What'd you
53.
say, 53?
so one's 25, 294, I would just say 26, and then the other one is 37, 516, just say 38. That way you've got it.
Most probably budgeted $600 for the time to take care of this project, including electrical, so it's in there.
Who's 26, Sagewood?
I believe so.
Yes.
Sagewood,
Yes, they
So a
do.
motion to approve Ballinger's installation for the controllers up to do not exceed 26,000, work closely with that.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion for the Fair Villas, same install. by
California
Ballinger,
says aye.
not to exceed $38,000 and work closely with budget changes. Patty.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Waiting on the West Coast.
Okay.
Aye, West Coast says aye.
Mark, you made a comment, is the consensus to try to hardwire them or not hardwire them? There's a big difference in the install for them.
They don't have them plugged into an outlet outside, it seems you.
wants to talk about
Let me just, I'm not saying you're wrong, but
Yeah.
my consensus on it is yes, plug it in and out outside. Landscaping crew could go and unplug it, plug it back in, reboot the system, make sure it's working. Maintenance could go see one's offline, unplug it, plug it back in. The only argument that we're trying to avoid here is saying, well, resident could just go unplug it. Sure, resident could also just go flip the breaker, makes no difference. They want to turn the system off, they're going to turn the system.
It's gonna cost more to put
Yeah,
hardwire.
you what, I'm sorry?
I think it'll cost more to hardwire.
It will cost more, it will cost more.
That's
to hardware.
the argument, isn't it?
I don't think we're gonna be negating anything by actually spending the money in hardware, it might actually be hurting ourselves a little bit. The systems are smart, we're gonna see them go offline, we're gonna see why they go. If there's a pattern they're going offline, we know something's going on. It's not like, So
All right.
I'm for the outlet, it's just from an ease of access, so.
So we'd have some kind of, something attached, like a tube attached to the wire, so this way it doesn't look like a wire just hanging.
Can't do that with a plug, can't run the plug that way, it would just be, I mean, you could be a big conduit though, right?
So this is gonna be outside, the side of the house, right? So you're gonna have the cord sticking out. I mean, the cords,
Yeah, I wouldn't change this.
you're gonna
from-
put an in-use cover on it anyways, 'cause it's gonna
Well,
plug,
I mean, they all
the
do.
bubble cover's gonna be on it.
The
Just
GFCI that's
put it
up
on an
front,
outdoor, it's the same.
you know, GFCI in most houses has cover on, and they're required by code, right? So if you'd have to have the cord, make sure they can run into that outlet, plug in. But putting it into a conduit would be, make that more difficult.
You guys, just loop, zip tied, it's usually 3 feet.
Yeah. And you can use a little piece of, you can use a little wire mold, put that stuff in it, snaps on plastic thing that
Okay.
doesn't look like a piece of conduit.
Again, and that's almost expensive by conduit, right? So that's what I'm saying, either plug it in or not plug it in, it doesn't, pick a side, don't pick halfway.
Well, this is all,
Technical jargon, we're just trying to. see whether
we can move
budget.
on, I don't
Well,
have.
kind of, but we can't approve something with no direction, right? They say, yeah, Bellins will do it, we don't know yet.
Well,
Well, they're not doing it, so.
the decision is not to hardwire, is that the mine, just the.
That's not even part of this quote, so let me meet with the other,
Right.
electrician, then I'll come back to Will, we'll talk about it, and I'll get some.
That's the thing, though, keep in mind that I gotta look at the really strongly that most of these houses.
Mhm.
I would guess almost all but 5 have an outlet by their,
Their unit.
Well, they can't have it,
Control.
because it's just running the control wire to the valves, no
Right.
matter what. So they can put the timer next to the outlet and run the control wire further,
control
but you end up with having more control
So
wire.
all these houses should have an outlet actually next to their AC
They
unit.
have
so
to,
like you, just like.
Yeah, it's a service, gotta have a service outlet.
So do we just want to say, but pending approval, if any additional expenses?
for Mark, I know Mark's contemplating here.
If you
Here's a thought. In the event we start seeing that they're unplugging them all the time or something, we go back and spend the money on hardware.
You could always.
Those stuck in gas.
You could do a dead front, GFI.
Good.
That way there's no,
Yeah, that would be ideal.
so you hardwire it, just like you do a spot tab in your house.
No,
you
that would
wire
be
it in.
ideal, but that's what, yeah.
That's a better solution than all of it. You have more than, you have a consecutive account of your offline, seems to be offline every time you're watering, put in a policy where we start charging service.
Right, there you go.
Yep.
Well, that's a problem we could focus on later, I wouldn't change the norm, Mark. If you look everywhere. they're
The
all-
timers will get installed fast without the electrical.
We're installing one way or another.
Yes.
so Patty, give it the
I'm not
electrician and
gonna
get,
hardwire it,
figure out
but I
the
understand the
recommendations.
That's a good one.
Patty to-
But I do want to clarify one thing from the West Coast. I see.
It's the left coast, not the west.
It's all a matter of where you're looking at.
I lived there for a
From
long
the
time.
North
Trust me,
Pole,
it's the
it's-
left coast.
From the North Pole to the right coast. He wanted to say on the question about the network, their equipment. Is there network equipment?
There
Equipment
is.
is not cheap.
There's a lot, and it's already been budgeted for in this $600.
She'll hear that, but I'll put it in here too, already.
Okay, so can we move to the next?
I just want to clarify.
Yes.
For some reason.
The next one is.
Keep
the
it
mulch.
moving, John.
For the care buildings.
That's,
Well, yeah, Westlake mulch installation, how much money are we looking at?
Repaired bills.
We don't have a site mulch on it.
Yeah, we used to repair those.
More increases the personnel, they push over budget. on it. So we don't have more
We're down to Westlake.
You, Westlake,
Westlake.
I did miss Bear Villas, you don't, so Westlake doesn't have the money for it?
No.
Okay, so motion to table Westlake's mulch installation,
Second.
all those in favor?
Repeat that.
Aye.
We can get done at the end of the year.
Paired Villas mulch installation, do we have a price on that?
Her bills, mulch is 19.5.
Looks like we have the money, should we do it?
okay, so which one did we just table?
We tabled Westlake.
Westlake, okay.
We should have money in November. We should have money in November for.
Don't put new shrubs around this house or.
I'm gonna make a motion to, approve the, Paired Villas mulch install,
How much?
19,000.
Okay,
19.5.
19,500 or something, yes.
19,500.
19,500.
I was second that if anyone else did.
All those in favor?
Aye. California says, the right coast says aye.
Beautiful.
Money.
Carried.
We got it.
Old business, we had ARC guidelines, which was.
Wait, we're not done yet.
well,
We didn't do removal of mulch or showing placement.
Well,
Let me check with Tom. The removal of mulch for hair drillers, that's pretty much out the window, right?
Out the window, you mean for the removal?
Is he
Say-
not offering it anymore?
I'm off mute.
Yes, you're off mute.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear what you said, Patty.
The mulch removal for Pear Village is no longer available, is that correct?
That's what I'm told, yes. It just, the vendor can't find the labor to support it. It's so much, labor intensive. And just kind of a, quote unquote pain in the ass for them that it's not on the table anymore. No.
Okay,
I have to call this.
all right, and they need the mulch removal, I haven't looked, but I'm guessing that's what I
In
thought.
some locations, Tom, what's your opinion on the mulch remover over there? I don't think it's as bad as Sandpiper was.
Yeah, I would say it's not as bad as Sandpiper. I think the issue is going with the shredded over the, the wood chips. I would always prefer to remove it, as opposed to just burying it and go over it. Is it 100% necessary? No. And I could certainly look at doing it with my crews, but it would probably be, on Saturdays, for a few weeks to try to get it done. It's doable, but it'll take a lot of time for me to do it with the maintenance crews.
Yeah, I agree with removing it before you put any type on, since it won't break down. Yeah.
Okay, anytime can you work up a quote for that for the weekend work, if you think you got the manpower for it?
I can, and I think we have enough time, typically we like to try to get the mulch done, before Thanksgiving and the holidays, so if that timing works for you guys, again, great. I definitely still need, if you're able, an approval on the mulch installation so that I can get that booked with the subcontractor, but yes, I'll work it through with our crews and get Patty a number.
Yeah.
We approved a pair of gloves, we're obviously gonna hold off on the install on it, but yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so then we have quote placement.
Yes, 5716 Colony Glen Slub. Rub.
Motion to approve,
$196.
$496.
Please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
West Coast, Light Coast agreed.
All right, Sagewood mulch, we don't have the money for right now, maybe we will in a little while. So the next is Sagewood, the 13526 Circle Crossing shrub replacement. It is for $223.75.
Which ones are these? Patty, I'll see these in the agenda.
Sagewood, so it's behind the Sagewood mulch proposal.
Sagewood.
1356, 13506.
13526.
You're on the agenda, I'm just looking for the quote.
13.
That's it, yeah.
You want this?
Oh, no, that's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Is that it?
There's a couple of them.
Trees, that's it. Pool.
So this is this is dead. Okay.
And where's Sagewood?
Mhm.
How much is
Put
it?
it down right there, you see the growth coming back.
What's the total on that?
200 something?
Go to the third page, and then there's another one behind it.
For one shrub,
How much is it?
for one shrub? Is that much?
It's a couple shrimps right there, isn't it? They have it.
Well,
yes,
is this
I-
not? It's a 223. 75.
I didn't see that in the board packet, okay.
Okay, 223.
Yeah, okay.
So $230. How many shrubs?
It looks like just one shrub to me, but
Yeah, you visited the property.
okay, well,
Two vibrant shrubs.
2 flower shrubs installed, what is this, 10 plus lily plants? So there's some,
Oh, I see, there's 10 little lily plants and
So they-
shrubs.
so we have to, so there's lily plants.
So
And
going off of that and putting in 2 shrubs.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This one here,
And this is for
extra pillage.
This is procedure.
This one here.
Gotcha.
It's 10 lily shrub and 2 vibrant shrubs.
Yeah, this one here for 100.
We'll note account.
Yeah, yeah, motion to approve.
seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Sorry.
ARP, we talked about delegate letter, we talked about associate payments request for $50,000, we grazed upon a little bit. I just had one suggestion, I don't know what the number is, George is,
That's gonna be settled.
yeah, George is asking, hey, if you have any tricks up your sleeve and you want to settle, make an offer now, make it good. My suggestion to that is, it's a 2-part question, I have a suggestion and then I kick it back to Sean. My suggestion is, whatever we offer, if we're gonna offer anything here, if it's the full amount, offer the full amount, fine. We're an HOA, we don't have the money, it took them a year to bill us. If the determination is we owe it, and we owe it, put us on a payment plan to pay them quarterly over the course of the next 2 years. This way it doesn't hurt us smack dab so fast, so that's my only suggestion.
I know maybe John will support this. I'm more of a rip the Band-Aid off when it comes to stuff happens. You lowball it, tell them we'll settle for the 18 that we actually acknowledge for that invoice for, and see if they bite, and then walk away from it. That's what I would do with it. If they come back and say, no, we're not gonna do that, then we can negotiate a payment plan if they're gonna try and buy us out, but I don't think they've got a leg to stand on that simply supposed to be late.
Okay, so let me ask this, if they accept the 18, I mean, we have that? Okay.
Yes, we do. That's why that liability is still in here. It loosens up the rest of the 51 that I've got in the liability.
Well, then I agree with you, I change what I'm saying of that. We're not only talking about $50,000 and we could just get it done with them, yeah. I don't know if they bite it.
Can't hurt to
No,
try.
I'm not in favor of paying them anything.
We have to do some, not to interrupt, but they were, some of the invoices are for, payroll.
Some of them we owe, the
Some of you owe.
problem with that is, I talked to George last, is, it's not gonna go, he doesn't anticipate this going to mediation, it's just gonna go to final judgment, so
Is
final judgment could
Can
just
I-
go, you owe $50,000.
Is this a legal issue that we need to go to a closed session for?
No, because there's no legal counsel there.
I went through the paperwork.
I feel like
and
I'm
it's-
gonna consult legal counsel again before we make a decision when we're gonna.
Yep.
There's
I
a-
think we ought to get them to
I-
bite some of those old living horses.
There's one problem. Okay, we already postponed it a week and a half out, George needs to answer.
Got that
So-
final extension.
Yes. We're already on an extension before they just push. it.
I'm in favor. I'm in favor of, the suggestion of trying to see if we can do a settlement, close it at a certain fit liability and then get the thing, move on. I mean, I think that's a good,
What I suggest is, you're more than welcome to talk to George, you should talk to George, matter of fact, tomorrow call him, give him whatever news is here, to come up with at least a meeting decision. Tonight, you talk to George and why we change your mind. Change course, but if we go with another waiting with an extension, this can go with this.
Okay.
ideally, I just want it settled.
Right, so this is $52,000 we're talking about, is that correct?
51,000.
51,000. And we were pretty sure we owe 18 of the 51.
We know for sure we owe 18.
Not for sure. We know that we got invoice for 18 prior to them closing the books with us. And there was, the question was 14,000 called a pass-through that we don't know what to store. We assume that pass-through is for part of the invoices. That they
So
are
we've been
trying to-
invoiced 18,000, but we're 14,000 is questionable.
Correct?
We don't agree with the invoice, but we have an invoice.
Right, but if you can get an invoice for anything,
That's
so,
fine.
you know, what's this pass? Go back and say, what's this pass?
Every time we had a pass-through, we were told in the past that it was to cover the burden fees for the staff. The burden fee being, they charge 30% extra for payroll, to process payroll. And of course, when John asked about that, they said, oh, it's to cover taxes, but taxes aren't 30%. So, but it does cover some of the taxes. The new bills we got are the taxes. And the payroll, so they're trying to double bill us, so I'm trying to get at.
Right, but I'm trying to say it, so, and then what's the other?
It's all incidental, stamps, postage, 5 cents for touching this. Legitimate stuff, the reason we got rid of it.
How much was that? It says 14,000 versus 18, so 4,000. The offer. See, that's the problem. The offer comes, okay, here's $5,000, just go away.
Right, so that's
They're looking for
you got the
51.
other, you got the other 34,000, right?
I know, but
There was 40.
what we're saying is our gut says we can't legitimize this, so. It comes back to kind of like Marcus said, and I feel comfortable offering anything, but we kind of have to at least have an answer.
What is George's recommendation?
George is, you know, I like George a lot, this is not a diss to George at all, but George's recommendation is we don't have a smoking gun. You can owe $51,000 if it's somebody's place.
And if we go to court and bills, we have. to
And
pay
you know,
bills.
attorney fees and court fees and fines.
So he's trying to give us the
So he's saying,
least amount of,
Settle out just before it gets a problem.
whether we agree with it or not,
Right, but is he giving us, go in and say 75%, or is he, or is he saying pay 51,000?
No, he's just saying settle it for
He's
the,
asking for our suggestion of what we think we should offer, is what he's asking for. He didn't have a suggestion.
He doesn't have a suggestion on the numbers, and I think he's vested well enough into the numbers to give us a financial advisement, but the legal one is do something. Doing nothing is gonna cost you more. He said this to me repeatedly, I, I'm 50 guys, I don't.
So, so if we lowball them on an offer to say, we're gonna pay you $10,000 to make this go away, and they go, we'll take it to court and win and get 51,000 plus legal fees, plus tax, interest.
Maybe.
Let's call their bluff, and then we're gonna come back and say, okay, here's the $200,000.
You're right, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the question is, can they actually prove that here? And unfortunately, I'm not getting a real smooth answer from George that says they can, I can't.
The 14 to me is a soft cost that they probably can't cover. So if we knock that off of our offer, we think we're gonna get over that.
That's probably the most reasonable thing, because the other invoices are inclusive of taxes and fees for the employment,
Which was coming pretty close to say, you go in and say, get offer 70 or 75%,
something like that.
which is the 14,000, right?
Plus an agreement that this is it. They cannot come back for anything else.
Right.
yeah, that's.
You gotta
the whole
kill
Right,
point.
and it's a cease and desist. But wait, I mean, what do you, if we say 14 out of 51 brings it to 27, am I doing it right now? So it's about a third, 33%.
Right, it's about 33% discount from what they want from this.
And you're saying all we have to lose is they say, no, we're gonna go to court, or we can pay them the rest.
And we've left the money in the budget just in case that happens.
Anybody else have thoughts on it?
I don't,
I'd love to tell them, screw it, and take us to
Yeah.
court, but it's gonna cost us money.
yeah, I was gonna say, as Kathy has said in the past, just to put on the record, I'll be put on record. This situation sucks, and I don't agree with spending $1 on it, but we do not have a better situation. And I think we're all seeing this here, so, I think it is better to at least have in the back pocket, offer the 14,000, they accept that this goes away, we move on. They don't,
We owe 51.
we go to court.
Well, can you avoid court? I mean, if you offer them,
If they settle, if they.
Yeah,
accept
don't
it,
show.
we don't go to court.
no, but if we offer the 14, what I'm trying to say is, do we offer the 14, they come back and say, no, we're gonna go to court? Can we cave and offer the rest
I'm sure
and avoid court? I mean, because what you wanna avoid is legal fees and,
they'd be silly to say that. It
Yeah,
would be just George submitting, hey, my client. came
Because
back.
there's still a possibility they could lose, however much it might be at that point, there's still a possibility they would take the money and buy.
51. Right, okay, so I mean, are we agreed that that's probably reasonable? Does anybody have a disagreement with that? I gotta check with the right codes.
They-
offer to pay 14K.
Offer to pay for it, though.
The offers to pay everything but 14.
Because
Okay.
because that passes inclusive of the
Right,
invoices. So
So. What was it?
Well, that is a good,
give the exact.
what's the settlement we're offering?
Why don't I do that? Why don't I give the exact breakdown of what they were asking, where it comes out of which invoice?
Somewhere around 37,000.
Yes, it's somewhere around 37,000.
You said you need motion.
Okay.
So with the motion,
Okay, okay. Sean's gonna get everyone the exact numbers. I make a motion,
Do that by morning.
Mark, get on a call with George tomorrow. With the option for approval to pay $37,000 to his resident. Should you see fit to continue with that? For any reason, we have a conversation with George and that changes? Full breaks, let the board know.
We're gonna have a special meeting.
Let George know that the reason we're not paying the 14 is it's a soft cost. When we asked them about it, they couldn't say, they haven't gone around, they came up with some
Right,
numbers and they came up with some different numbers. So if they were to go to court on that 14,000, I do not think they would do that.
I agree with them.
But everything else, they've documented.
And just to add one more thing, because my icing on the cake is, we do not have a breakdown invoice of that 14,000.
Nope.
Yeah.
Never pay that.
Same as.
Right, but even if they say, okay, we win 37,000, we still have to pay
so motion to approve, it, call this lawyer.
fees
to-
and tax, that's,
Okay, so
so
motion,
the right code says thumbs up on it.
so we're deducting them paying approximately, yes, So,
I clarified. that.
well,
All those in favor for the error of $37,000?
second, but I'm putting in that he's making
It's gonna make the final judgment.
final call. on-
Right,
with-
based on
with
conversation with legal.
Give me the numbers by form.
Okay, all those in favor?
Accounting,
I,
Aye.
and
Okay.
the,
okay, I'm gonna have to put that in.
the ambidextrous dose is.
Got it.
That was it. Resident input. Anyone here? Anyone on Zoom? Jason, anything? No? Okay. Oh, yeah. I thought I-
I have to admit, I have to.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
California wants to keep going.
Okay.